Characteristics of an evaluation statement. In evaluation questions, the missing link, that is the gap between the premise and the conclusion, is quite apparent, and a correct evaluation statement must lead to some finding, fact or data that helps in the assessment of the argument. Remember, this finding may help the argument, it may hurt the argument. It's about evaluating the validity of the argument, it's not about strengthening. So remember, it's an evaluation, the outcome may not always be positive. Missing link approach works great in these questions. Let's take an example. The argument here, the missing link is between the 15% GDP growth and the conclusion that party has done a good job and it should stay in power. We have to look for an evaluation statement. Look at this answer choice. Whether GDP is one of the key factors in deciding the performance of a political party. See, the conclusion has been drawn only on the basis of GDP, and for this argument to hold, GDP should be one of the most important factors, and therefore an evaluation of whether GDP is one of the key factors in deciding the performance of a party is a fine evaluation. Remember, the answer may be positive or negative. If GDP is one of the key factors, the argument would be strengthened. If GDP is not an important factor, the argument would be weakened. This doesn't matter. The point is that such an evaluation will help in evaluating the validity of the argument, and therefore this is a fine answer choice. One more example, the same argument, the same missing link. Look at this answer choice. Whether the government played an important role in achieving the GDP growth. Once again, the outcome may be positive or negative, but knowing whether government had an important role to play is going to lead to a fine evaluation of the argument, and therefore this is a fine evaluation choice. One more, the same argument, same missing link, and look at this answer choice. In simple words, it is saying whether 15% growth is a good enough number. Very often GMAT uses these high numbers and we tend to not question them, forming an opinion using our general knowledge, which is not the best thing to do, and therefore a logical evaluation of whether 15% is a good enough number, another very fine evaluation statement here. One more, the same argument, the same missing link. Look at this answer choice. A very fine answer choice. The given argument is based only on GDP, and therefore an evaluation of how the government performed on other relevant factors is crucial for evaluation of the argument, because the conclusion talks about the overall performance of the party and giving it another term. The conclusion is not only about GDP, it's about government's overall performance, and therefore this is a very fine evaluation choice. This was the concept, guys. GMAT shorts are deliberately kept brief. For an elaborate explanation, please refer the stage 1 videos. Thanks for watching.